Hello and welcome to this Africa Travel Week webinar on the evolving landscape of luxury travel. Today, we delve into the transformative trends shaping this evolving sector, from extended stays and personalized experiences to the emergence of wellness-focused itineraries. Our expert panel will explore how tour operators and travel advisors are redefining luxury to meet the sophisticated demands of today's discerning traveler. Joining me to talk about this today, I have Nikki Lenferner de la Motte, the Director of Pulse Africa, Shirley Long, Director of Lux Leisure Co., Yanir Horowitz, the owner of Yanir Taylor Tours, and Gwen Strachan, the owner of Incredible Experiences. I hope you enjoy today's session. Let's tackle this probably less sexy, but certainly very important topic around the booking window and the lengths of stay and the values, the higher average order values in luxury travel. Have you, from a luxury travel perspective, noticed a shift towards longer booking window? What do you believe is driving that trend? Or if you haven't, what do you believe needs to happen for that trend to be driven?
At Pulse Africa, we've definitely noticed that trend. We've got huge amounts of bookings for 2024, and we've got inquiries going up right to the end of 2025. We've never had that happen to us before. So it's quite exciting. It's probably mostly due to the sort of post-COVID intense desire to travel. I think so many people had their holiday dreams shattered pre-COVID, and they don't want that to happen again. So there's the desire to get out there and get planning and traveling.
Sure, nodding. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are so excited about the possibility of traveling again. We're actually seeing a really weird pattern at the moment. We have a variety of last minute bookings we have, which we've never had before, sort of people traveling in October this year, and then other bookings being made for 2025. So we're having this really broad range of actual distance between actual booking and traveling, but we're definitely finding that the clients are spending longer in each destination. They're not sort of, you know, before it's sort of 3-4 nights in one destination and then moving on, but we're definitely finding that they're spending less, visiting less destinations, but spending more time in each destination.
So they can really absorb the destination in a different way. Those extended stays, if I might come through to you, how are they influencing the luxury travel experience and the offer that you are delivering? How is that kind of extended stay changing what it is that you actually offer your customer,
From what I see, there is not really, let's say, a change, meaning that for us, the Israelis, just give us a chance to travel. And we can pack even for tomorrow and or even for a month, in a month. If before COVID, let's say, customers or if we're traveling even to Africa, took a while, as saying preparing. Now people, if they see even on the news a certain promotion, they are just traveling and wants to travel, and especially because of our location, first of all, that it's very convenient to travel, and with opening of new destinations for us. So just give us the chance, and if I can, I just can pack now and go abroad and go to the airport.
And Gwen, the wanderlust out of the UK. I mean, we talk a lot in the South African context about that middle market not really coming back, but really the market that has been driving inbound to Southern Africa has been the higher end traveler. Is that something that you have seen from your side as well?
Yes, I do get middle range to sort of 4-star requirements as well. Often I do. I find that with the high end, or with the travel to South Africa, people pretty much travel, book a year in advance. At least we start looking. You're able, because in South Africa the better properties are also not that easily they're fully booked almost. A lot of the prime properties that specific rooms that are booked in advance. South Africa is a far destination, so a lot of the British prefer to do it kind of as once in a lifetime experience and maybe go back to another place because of it being such a long way away. So when they're there, they want to spend the time, say maybe 3 weeks, getting the most they can out of it and coming back. Then they tend to stick to short distances over the year.
And you're all experts in the room. We've all come through COVID. I don't even want to say the C word again. I'm completely over it, as I'm sure you have. But there is this renaissance of the travel advisor, right? I'm not sure the extent to which that was the case pre-COVID from a luxury travel perspective. So maybe you can speak to that for me a little bit, Shirley, if you wouldn't mind. Pre-COVID, this do-it-yourself luxury travel, was that a thing coming out of COVID?
I think it was, to a certain extent. People felt,
okay.
People felt they were sort of technologically savvy, and they could get what they needed off the internet, and anybody could book a trip. But we definitely are finding, and I think I'm not sure if it's a positive or negative way, but particularly from Australia, is people are finding post-COVID that there's a lot of uncertainty about exactly what situations will be like on the other side of the world, because we were so closed off for such a long time. And obviously bad news sells. So every bad news story that comes out of Africa always hits headlines. So I think they definitely are reaching back out to luxury advisors to really find out which are the safe destinations to travel to, which are the good destinations, which are still open, because so much has changed since COVID. Lots of stuff that we used to book pre-COVID is no longer exists. So they are finding that they're needing that bit of travel advice and security of somebody being able to assist them, particularly when things go wrong. We all know we've lost a lot of money out of Qantas. So people need the reassurance of a travel advisor on their side to help them get the best.
Nikki, from your side, would you say with your clients and the extent to which you direct and also trade clients, are you finding the same?
We are actually, and I think people are beginning to realize that maybe what you find online is not always the same as it is when it's on the ground. And your top Google searches for properties are not necessarily the top properties, and maybe they are, but maybe they're not suitable to you. So I think people are beginning to finally appreciate that we are experts in travel, and we are able to put together itineraries where the logistics can be tricky. We can put it together smoothly. And as Shirley said, we're there to solve the problems. What happens when things go wrong? People have realized that you need your travel expert to help you through those tricky situations.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised actually at the comment around do it yourself being a thing pre-COVID, because I always think that people who can afford to and are time poor are going to want someone who's an expert to lean in and do the stuff for them and not do it themselves. I find that incredibly curious. Is that the case in the Israeli market? Was it also, Yanira, was it also in the past where they did their own travel and now they've moved to using an advisor?
There is a kind of a mix between those two ways. I mean, they are still asking why I'm here. Why? I mean, if there is a place for the travel advisors, for the travel agents, even after COVID, even though they learned our place is much more important, especially, let's say, to destinations like in Africa, to have the knowledge of what is going on in the continent. Compare, let's say, to maybe Europe, that, okay, we can do it on our own. And the Israelis' mind is always, okay, we can do it. We don't, maybe you can give us the program and we can book it on our own. But if it's still what I see, if it's, let's say, far destinations, either it's Africa or even the Americas, there's still the position of the knowledgeable, of the travel advisors, of the tour operators is still in place. It's still very important. And we are very much more updated with all those, what is going on in the news. I just can give a simple example of what just gone in Ethiopia. For example, with the war over there, if it's still safe going there, not safe, especially when Israel and Ethiopia have good relations, and as Ethiopian airlines are flying very in high demand here, and people are asking if it's safe to go there or not. They're hearing about evacuation of the Israelis from Ethiopia, and on the same time, if it's travel. So this is way of our knowledge and our contacts within the person instead of just reading on the news or in the internet.
I'm going to stay with you, Yanira, and just around the LGBTQ plus community, which is particularly from a luxury travel perspective, a very important market segment for us. And I can understand the extent to which they would need to have a travel advisor really helping them navigate certain African countries that are not LGBTQ plus friendly. Do you have an opinion on that? Are you having to lean in a much more enhanced way in that space?
Let's say about as a person from the LGBTQ community, and also as friends that are asking me, yes, people, first of all, we would like to go to a safe country, a safe destination. For example, when I was in South Africa, yeah, I felt secure. But if I'm thinking about Uganda, I'm now like, okay, in a kind of way, I would like to promote and offering it to the luxury market. But on the other hand, as a gay person, I won't offer it. I want, let's say, less talk about that. If talking about destinations like the Seychelles of Morocco, if it's a Muslim country or not a Muslim country, so there is still a lot of questions about, of course, the security, the safety of the community. On the other hand, if to support the local community, there is this question as well. We want to support them, but on the other hand, how we are going to support if the country is not supporting? There is like a certain conflict about that. But definitely, let's say, destinations in Africa, especially from the southern part of the continent, are very much willing to and looking for how to approach the LGBTQ, and they are looking on South Africa, the country, as a kind of a lighthouse there, how to, and following what they are seeing and what they are doing. So hopefully, we can travel to more countries in Africa as well, like in Europe. But the world is now changing, not for the good, let's say, also for the LGBTQ, take even the US or even here in Israel, but it's for another topic and another conversation.
So I mean, it is quite obvious that as experts, we know what's happening on the ground and we can advise our customers. But Gwen, from your perspective, what ways do expert travel advisors elevate the luxury travel experience? What else do you do that elevates the luxury travel experience so that it's not just advice that you're giving?
We actually, it's a whole combination. During all my years, I think, providing luxury services, I have prided myself on providing a detailed and a personal service to all my clients. And this is more important factor than dealing with a luxury traveler, as they are willing to pay the premium price to ensure they are properly taken care of throughout the journey. And that begins with their first call to me right until they come back from their journey. So it's the whole seamless journey. Most importantly, it's a matter of building a strong relationship with them to ensure I understand their needs in order to be able to exceed those needs later. And it requires the service to be personal and not handed off to other staff members. And I'm available for them 24/7. I work with them. And I think the other very important factor is having a relationship with the suppliers, the properties, the transfers, the excursions, the whole experience is the whole relationship of their journey from the beginning to the end, the personalization, knowing them, knowing what they like, giving them special surprises, and also just seamless, printing their boarding passes, put it under their door. whether they want it or not, telling them their driver will be there at this time, planning the next day ahead with them, and being able to do impromptu stuff for them. Like if they suddenly decide they want to go to a lovely restaurant, speak to the concierge, get them sorted, get them there. So you are always there just to help them at every whim or request.
Yeah, so you're obviously quite not picky, but you've chosen your suppliers well. You know that your supplier is going to work with you in partnership to make those kind of special magic moments happen that, would ordinarily not happen had you not kind of instigated it, correct?
Right, they're absolutely, and having that special relationship with them, they're going to give them the best room, the one with the best view, the one where the animals are going to come right up to their window. You're actually going through every single step of their day. How is my client today? Oh, they've just gone out for a game drive. They only saw 3 of the big 5. So, tomorrow we're going to plan them to see the rest. And this one likes to take photographs of cheetahs, so we're going to do a little bit of focus on that tomorrow. They're very, they're very ahead of the client's needs.
Brilliant. Well, a lot of what we've spoken about, Gwen, sits very firmly in the person-to-person relationship. I'm interested from a tech perspective, how we can be leveraging technology a little bit better so that we're hitting all the right notes for our customers. And perhaps, Shirley, I can go to you and just talk a little bit about the use of technology to enhance that guest service and also the personalization, because it's about recognizing them as their own person essentially, and not giving them a kind of cookie cutter type environment. Are you using tech to amplify the luxury experience, or are you working with suppliers who are using tech? Tell me a bit about that.
Well, I think, especially with the time difference, we really do rely on it a lot. On using tech, because and dealing with the luxury market in particular, because they do like to change their minds. They do like things to be very flexible. They don't like to hear the word no, and so they do. I mean, you can have everything as planned out as you like, but guaranteed they're going to want to change something at the very last moment. And so we do rely on technology very much to be able to be getting the information from the client to the advisor, or to whoever's looking after the clients on the ground for us, and then passing that on to the supplier and making sure that those changes happen on time, that the updated pickup and drop-off details are given to the clients. And so, apps like Access and things like that are really, really important, that you can change the itinerary on the app, and the client within seconds can have the updated itinerary at their fingertips and see everything that they need to see for the day ahead.
Nikki, from your side, how do you see that tech piece evolving? Are you also having to use that in your space? Do you see, are you dabbling with things like AI? Come on, fess up, tell us if you've been on ChatGPT.
We're not the most technologically advanced at South Africa, but we're getting there fast and furiously, actually. So we're putting ourselves through a little bit of training at the moment, and it's all very exciting. And yes, I think AI can help us enormously, but I think it's still going to go back to our opinion. So whilst we can use the lovely stuff that you get on AI, I think it's really important to still maintain that personal bit of information and that personal thought. And so we're trying to combine the two.
Yeah, it's that high touch, high tech type environment that you've got to try and, because you also don't want to become like a bank. I think I'm digressing now, but there's nothing that irritates me more than when I want to speak to a human being and I have to speak to a chatbot, or I have to speak to the online banking system. And I think that's understanding when you need to use tech, right? You use tech when you need a process to be simple, when it's transactional, and you need that real human interface when nothing is required, or when there's a problem. And let's face it, in travel, there's always a problem. So that's why it's important to know when you're going to do high touch, do high tech. Yanir, are you a tech whiz as well? Are you having to?
No, I'm a very technophobe, I can say. Especially when being in a startup nation, as we call it, and every day there is a new app that we are working on. And actually, I just heard also a conversation about the AI. But for me and for even for my clients, no matter if they are the high end or even the main one, a simple Word or Excel, or if they want on the phone to talk, they still need, as mentioned, the personal touch, the personal voice, the human contact to feel, and even the paper, and not just seeing on the on your telephone or on the computer the maps or the information. After all, we all can see during COVID, we could see on our computer or Zoom either a game drives or some other webinars or movies. Okay, I've been in a safari, but it's not the same as really to see the animal in front of you, or even between us, shaking the hands, or going on the trip, or going on the streets of Cape Town, for example, and not just seeing it on the computer or in the telephone.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's delve a little bit into some of the trends. And I think these are trends that kind of go beyond just the luxury traveler, and it's things around sustainability and wellness. Sustainability certainly being a cornerstone of inbound travel into the Southern African region. But sustainability is very, very broad. And I think if we think about the people who are on this call and wanting to really understand what the luxury travel market segment is looking for when it comes to sustainability, perhaps we can help unpack what that looks like instead of just talking very generally about the importance of sustainable travel. So Gwen, oops, you're coughing. I'm going to come to you. Can I still come to you?
Yes.
I'm curious. So first of all, do your customers, and not just lip service, but do your customers really come to you and say, we are interested in going to a destination or supporting a product that helps the destination or helps the people or helps the wildlife that we are coming in contact with? Is that a requirement? Do they actually ask for it, or is that something that you push? Firstly, and secondly, what is it specifically from a sustainability perspective that they care about? What are they asking you for specifically?
They don't ask me anything about sustainability. I might say, would you like to hire an electric car, which is a new thing on our systems at the moment, but otherwise I know them. I know what they like. I know, you get ones that love diving and walking in nature and like to help the community. So you choose places that are oriented towards that without actually selling it as that. You're selling them their holiday experience. You're not selling them a holiday and say, you only can go to sustainable places. You must make sure that you've got your carbon footprint right or something. It's what they want to do. So I work the experiences around that. I use the properties that I know are sustainable, that look after their community and are eco-friendly and recycling. And that I always do look out for that. So it's natural for them when they go there, they see everything is so unspoilt. And I think it is a matter of, it's not opulence they're looking for. It's more the nature, how the place makes them feel, the air, the atmosphere, the service. It's they're not looking like, I want to go to a 5-star hotel. They're saying, I want to stay in a room that's got the best view of the water. I can put my toes straight into the sand from there, or I can at night see the stars in the sky with unspoilt pollution. It's that intangible experience that is going to be there for them, rather than all this big hype about sustainability. We all know we need to look after the planet, but we don't need to keep pushing it to everybody. There's enough in media about it.
And really, do people come to you and say, I demand these are the bits of sustainability pieces I'm interested in?
To be honest, they never ask about sustainability, but it is something that I do try and as Gwen mentioned, it's not something that they consciously think about when they're coming. More and more, obviously, because of load shedding in South Africa, it becomes it's sort of a byproduct of sustainability, the fact that people have learned how to survive without electricity, how grown their own vegetables, how the children are learning to grow vegetables in communities. I do think that people are looking to travel with purpose. They are looking for to touch local communities, to encounter, to connect with local people, and to understand more about the communities. And as such, they then learn about the sustainable way that most African communities live in, because they don't have access to electricity and they don't have access to running water and things like that. And I do think that a lot of people go into a holiday, particularly in Africa, not really thinking about it, but they do find it's life-changing when they're there. How people can survive in situations like this, and how they can simplify their lives when they come home, and particularly with the multi-gen families, when they're all traveling together, and the older generation can sort of instill in the younger generation. I also grew up without running water or electricity, and they actually have something that they can connect on, and they can actually connect in those environments, and the children can see sort of things from bygone eras that children nowadays actually in Africa are still having to live. And I do think that families are finding that life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. What are they saying? You come to Africa for the wildlife, and you fall in love with the people. I hear that so often.
Well, that's my favorite. That's why I sell Africa, for the service, because it's just, you just don't find service like that anywhere else. It's the best in the world.
So interesting comment from Russell, who said, and I'm going to ask Janir to lean in on this one. I have clients that specifically ask for what we call a mitzvah project, a blessed project, working in soup kitchen for a day, putting together wheelchairs or walkers, helping equipment for handicapped people, cleaning a beach, fruit picking, agricultural work. Is that your experience, Janir? And tell us a bit about this mitzvah project, a blessed project. I love that.
Yeah, a mitzvah is in Hebrew a kind of a charity, let's say, or kind of to help your neighbor or your community. And it's something that I can relate to thing that Shirley said, that people want to see and experience the local communities behind the wildlife, behind what Africa is saying. When you're saying Africa immediately, and yeah, it's a kind of a mitzvah, and we contribute, we coming and giving our support, and it's something like in a kind of return to us. It feels like a good thing that we did something good, and in a kind of way it also will return to us, even if it's on the same time or in a day. It's also in the Jewish belief that something good will return in a certain days or in a certain way. So this is something, it's coming and going, and there are being asked about that while visiting, especially in Africa.
Yeah, Russell's just followed up and he said tourists want to give back to communities. They will do, as I wrote above, in schools sometimes they will have an English day and the tourists will speak only English to the kids to help them speak English. So, and I mean, that speaks to travel in general, right? We travel to learn, to break beyond our routine, etc. And maybe I'm kind of jumped. I know that I haven't prepped you for this, Nikki, so please forgive me next time I see you. But that piece around learning, and as a luxury traveler, wanting to learn about the destination, wanting to learn about the people who live there, wanting to learn about the wildlife. Is that something that you come across when people are asking you to put together luxury travel experiences? Is there a learning piece, or is it just about pure enjoyment?
I think they don't ask for it, and it's a little bit about like sustainability. They don't actually ask for it, but when they're out here and traveling, it's what they want. Sometimes they say you need to give people what they don't know they want. And I think that's very much the case with all this British environmental products or community programs. Once they're on the ground, they really want to get involved in them. They want to feel a part of it. They want to connect. They want to understand the environmental challenges, the community issues, and they're quite happy to participate and solve and help solve these problems. be it maybe donating of money or time or whatever it is. They're very interested once they're on the ground, but they don't ask for it up front.
Interesting. What about wellness? Now, I will definitely ask about wellness up front. I'm going to stick with you, Nikki. So wellness as a driving force in luxury travel, this especially coming out of COVID, this me mentality and, you know, I deserve and all the rest of it. Are you having to infuse wellness elements in the luxury travel space maybe a bit more than you used to?
Not really, but it maybe goes back to that of people spending more time in less places. And so they have time to maybe have a day of just leisure, of just relaxation, having time to maybe go to the spa or a massage. And especially on a safari where we're seeing people staying like 5-6 nights in one lodge, whereas before it was 2 nights, 2 nights, 2 nights. So they're getting a chance to spend more time thinking about themselves, maybe sitting on the veranda of their gorgeous room and reflecting about life and love and whatever it is. So there is a desire to have a little bit of more me time. And that's how we're seeing it playing out.
So what does that me time look like? What are they asking for from a me time perspective? Or what are you having to kind of put together to satisfy the me time?
I think it's not necessarily just about wellness, but it's having the time to choose what you want to do on the day so that your itineraries aren't jam-packed with activities. And then being in a lodge where you can maybe do a yoga class, or where there's a photographic course, or where there's a nice, you know, birding specialist, those kinds of things. Time.
Yeah, time. That makes complete sense. Shirley, from your side?
We're definitely finding the same. People are definitely more focused on wellness and mindfulness and taking time. So we are finding more and more that we are putting in these days at leisure to allow people to read a book and to just actually relax and calm down and rejuvenate and reconnect, particularly when you have sort of larger families and you know, high net worth individuals who work very stressful jobs. They don't get to spend a lot of time with family, and so I think before they would go to a place and, you know, 2 nights and see as much as possible, and now they're really spending the time connecting. They're spending time playing lawn bowls and going on picnics and eating ice cream and things that we think are just normal everyday things, but people in those, particularly in the high city, in the busy city environments, those things are special. When they get to go and actually sit on a beach and have a picnic with their kids, that's luxury nowadays. You know, just actual, you know, spending time where they can learn about what their kids are up to actually is luxury for them nowadays. And we're finding that particularly in Africa, it's great because they're getting to see their children learning about new things and seeing how the children are interacting with new environments. And then, of course, when you're adding wellness into it, it just makes it all more mindful.
I love that. So luxury travel is about quality and quality time, and quality time connecting with people. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. If you do have a question for our panelists, please feel free to add that to the Q&A folder. As Evelyn has, and I'm going to pitch this one to Gwen, if you don't mind, Gwen. I often get the question, what classifies as luxury or high-end? So she's asked, do you work on a minimum amount per night as a marker? Where does the luxury mid-market end and the luxury high-end start? Do you have a view on that, Gwen?
I think, you know, going to a specific place, say I'm going to use bungee jumping as an example. Everybody from every market would love to try it in certain ages and types. And with bungee jumping, you can go and stay at some of the most beautiful luxury places near Blowkrans, or you can go and stay in a camping site, or you can stay, you know, or you can get a wonderful guide who will take you all the way up there and will give you the whole luxury experience, show you all the nature of South Africa and the beaches and the mountains, depending on their interest. If they're bird watchers, that showing them, but it's the knowledge of the guide who knows the place like the back of his hand, and he's showing them the experiences that they want to see. They want to see a special bird, or they want to go and get that exhilarating bungee jumping feel, but they don't want to go camping. So making it a bit more high end is maybe a helicopter transfer, or, you know, keep putting them at a wonderful accommodation, which has got wonderful food, wonderful experiences, and they can get to do a lot more than bungee jumping. So it is
Curious that you chose bungee jumping, because there is nothing I would want to do. Are you an avid bungee jumper, Gwen?
It's a simple thing, but everybody can do. I'd never do it.
I thought that you might try it if you mentioned that.
Yanira, are you an avid bungee jumper?
No. Even if you will tell me there is something, no, definitely not.
No. Good to know. Mira from Namada Holidays in India has asked, and I'm going to pitch this to you, Nikki, if you don't mind. Well, I'm pitching it anyway. Let's see where it goes. She said, we are very active in the luxury safari space. Are there any new safari circuits which are popular this year, besides Kenya, Tanzania, and South Africa, the usual? I know Zambia is quite sexy at the moment. Do you have any views on that?
Zambia is very sexy at the moment, and it's a fantastic safari destination. People often ask me, if you had one more safari, where would you go? And that's it. South Luangwa Valley is where I'm going. That's my very last option. So there's some, there's always new stuff. You know, it's just, and it's about keeping up with it, actually. But yeah, you're right. Zambia is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, and the other area that I've also, Mira, from my own personal experience, really enjoyed this year is the Kavango Zambezi region. So Namibia, Namibia intersects with Zambia, Zimbabwe, Angola, and Botswana. That area, from a safari perspective, is also very, very cool, and I'm a lot of development in that space as well. So Kavango Zambezi would be definitely one, and Zambia would definitely be a second from my side. I know that Zambia is very in at the moment. Anybody else on our panel have any thoughts on additional luxury safari circuits that might be popular?
Namibia is lovely.
Namibia.
Absolutely. It's got such a different experience. And when you do this Rovers Rail experience, where you take the train into that area, it's quite incredible, that experience.
Yeah. I would also combine Zambia with Malawi, because there's some really good circuits. And Malawi is really untouched and quite remote and not a very well-known destination. So to combine Zambia with Malawi is pure luxury, because it's so unspoiled. It's really raw Africa, which is beautiful.
Yeah, 100%. And what's also lovely at the moment in the region, and those of you who have been following the trade press will have seen, the air access into in the region, within the region, is improving quite significantly. So for you to be able to visit destinations that are a little bit off the beaten track is a lot more possible than it used to be even a few months ago. So really try and keep abreast with the new routes opening, because that helps you then unlock where you can send people with greater ease. And there are quite a few new routes that have been announced literally in the last 3 weeks. So hopefully we'll start seeing a lot more of that kind of cross-border travel happening. I'm going to ask my panelists, as we close off, just for a very short comment around where they see luxury travel evolving in the next 5 years or so. And I'm going to start with you, Shirley, if I may. So if you have a crystal ball out and you're looking and you're thinking, okay, well, this is how it's going to be evolving in your specific market, how do you think luxury travel is going to be evolving?
Well, I think obviously, to start off with, I think everybody has a different view on what luxury is. For some people, it's white tablecloths. For other people, it's stars in the sky. So everybody has a different view. But I do think that the progression towards more slow travel, getting back to basics, getting back to more connectivity, and simplifying things is definitely where our market is looking to spend their money at the moment.
Great. Yanir?
From what I thinking about luxury, or what I also try to deliver to the clients or the people I'm talking about, it's not have to be just all those high-end brand as Six Senses or Amman, or even the transfers by the private jet from one place to other. It's really about listening to the client. It's really about listening, understanding who is the client, what is interest, what about the experiences that he would like to do. Even if going to meet a local community can be a very amazing luxury high-end experience, and or just staying by a wonderful beach and see the whales. It's really about that. It's not only about, as you said, I'm beyond the stars, or up staying in a wow hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. Gwen, from your side.
I think it's not necessarily what the clients, is going to change to. It's more the life cycle. Like maybe their first trip with me is going to do a proposal in a very fancy place. Next trip is their honeymoon. The next trip is a family holiday, and then they want to do business. So you do a bit of business for them. Then their kids grow up and they want to get the kids off on a camping holiday or whatever it is for a gap year. And then you start having the multi-generational holidays. So it's more, to me, the clients changing needs as they go through special birthdays, special anniversaries, special occasions. So I think their luxury trips are orientated towards those life milestones more than anything else.
And you get to know them as as they're evolving,
yes.
as they're going through their life cycle. Absolutely. Nikki, last but not least.
It's probably just a little bit about what everyone says. I think it's going to become more and more of that personalized service, more about being available to your traveler 24/7, and really, really understanding who they are, what they want, what makes them happy. And sometimes maybe even trying to find that out without even them knowing you're trying to find that out. And then surprising them with that. It's doing the little things that they're not expecting, and surprised that you knew that about them. So I think personalized service is going to become more and more important. And then being able to give them what they want, or as I said earlier, what they don't know they want.
Learning how to stalk them online. There's the tech's coming in for stalking people. Panelists, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, and in your case, Shirley, very late in the evening, middle of the night. Really appreciate it, Nikki, Shirley, Gwen, and Yanir. Thank you very much for your insights, and apologies for the very rocky start. We had a last-minute cancellation by our moderator, so hopefully I've done it justice, but you certainly have. So thank you for your insights and your time this afternoon. And hopefully those of you who were on the call, and all of the listeners who are going to hear this back when they listen to the webinar at a later stage, are going to get some great value. Let's get rocking and rolling with this luxury travel segment across the region, and wishing you guys all the best for your businesses going forward. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Natalia. Bye-bye.
Bye.